All right, folks, welcome back to Flatirons Tuning. We are here with your SubaNews for the third week of May 2026. We've got to talk Nurburgring 24-hour endurance race. Subaru is changing their EV plans a little bit. Subaru filed an interesting patent, which we're going to get into, and then we're going to do a Pikes Peak car update for you. So before we dive into it, just want to make sure you hit that like, subscribe, hit that hype button if you see it. That really helps us out a ton. We greatly appreciate your support, helping to get the word out about these videos, the SubaNews. So all that being said, let's dive into it. First, the Nurburgring 24-hour endurance race happened last weekend. Subaru STI Nürburgring Challenge car was in there. They had a phenomenal race. They were in the SP4T class, which is not the top class, but it's for four-wheel drive turbocharged cars with an engine between 2 and 2.5 liters in displacement. So the 2.4 liter was a perfect fit. And they finished 32nd out of about 160 cars, which is an amazing result. First in class. They were sandwiched above and below them with 718 GT4 Caymans. They actually beat Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen in his AMG GT race car. They were looking to win the whole race, but about 2 hours left. They had an axle issue, had a pit. They lost a bunch of laps. Max Verstappen and his team ended up finishing 38th, though their sister car did win the whole thing. So a phenomenal result for Subaru and the drivers and the whole team. And remember, this is a 24-hour race, and they had turned the wick up in this car, in the Nürburgring Challenge car, to 395 horsepower. And it lasted 24 hours at the Nürburgring. So huge congratulations to them. It's an amazing accomplishment. There was a lot of attrition due to slick conditions, cars putting down oil and coolant and stuff like that on the track. I have no doubt that the all-wheel drive system in the Nürburgring STI was a huge part of this success, but the engine and the power, that's what made them quick and kept them reliable. That's a huge result. Now that they've had this result with 24 hours straight in racing on the Nürburgring, heck, let's say they come out with a 375 horsepower STI, you could probably go to the track for years and years and not put as much wear and tear on the engine as what they just did in these last 24 hours. So it really speaks to the capabilities of this FE24 engine and the possibilities and how realistic it likely is that we will see an STI that is available to the public. We can all go out and buy that makes, let's say, 375 horsepower. Should be easy at this point. Next, I don't know if this is good news or bad news, but it's just news. Subaru reported that they ended up losing, or their profits ended up being down by about 90% for the last quarter of, or actually I think it was for the 2025 fiscal year, largely down to tariffs and fees that they had to pay there. They're also seeing that the demand for EVs in the US market is really tapering. There was a plant that they're finishing construction to go live in 2028 to actually be able to produce cars. And the plan was that this was going to be the plant where they were going to produce their fully in-house developed EV cars. And what they have done is said that they're going to push that plan back. And instead, most likely, they're going to use this new plant. So they're still building the plant, but it's going to be used to produce probably hybrids and combustion engine vehicles instead of this fully in-house developed EV platform, because they feel like it's less expensive to build. There's more demand for hybrids and combustion engine cars. And they just feel like that is going to fit the need for the market more. And what's super interesting to this, actually relevant or kind of tied into the Nürburgring result, is I wonder if, one, this is part of the motivation where this Performance-B concept came out of in this last October, November, that they were seeing that the market trend was going back to combustion engine cars, and that they were thinking that they might have to change their emphasis back to combustion. Maybe that's where this Performance-B came from. And heck, if they're building a new plant, that they're probably going to be assembling and building new combustion engine cars, well, it would kind of fit perfectly if one of those cars was going to be this new STI. All these pieces of the puzzle are coming together. It seems like it's a possibility. We're just going to have to stay, in touch with Subaru, and hopefully they keep releasing more information. I think that at this point, with everything that we're seeing with the Taycan car, the Nürburgring STI, the fact that they're testing these new FA24 turbo engines that seem to be slated or designed to go into an STI, I think we're going to hear something probably in the next 3 to 4 months before the end of the year, maybe for 27 or 28 model year, about whatever this new STI is going to be. That's my hope. Fingers crossed. So we just have to keep an eye on Subaru, watch what they're doing, listen to what they're saying, and hopefully they're going to let us in sooner rather than later on what their plans are for the STI and maybe some other cool things. Next up, Subaru has filed another patent. Hard to believe, I know, but like I said, whenever Subaru files a patent, we got to pay attention. And this time it's for an adjustable sway bar, but not in terms of stiffness or anything like that, or not exactly. It's the mounts. So what they've filed a patent for is a sway bar mount that is movable. And so they move it left to right, depending on which direction the car is turning. And it changes the stiffness on the inboard versus outboard wheel and so it improves handling. Kind of an interesting design, but like I said, every time Subaru files a patent, it's worth paying attention to. So we'll show you some pictures. There's some kind of interesting parts of the design where there's like almost some like a pivot point in the arms of the sway bar, which is, I'm guessing, part of how it works with the mounts being able to move back and forth. I'm sure it's all with the purpose of improving the handling characteristics of the car, but haven't really seen anything exactly like this, so it's kind of wild. And definitely wanted to mention because, again, when Subaru files a patent, it's worth paying attention. That is the latest of the SubaNews. Now for the shop news, I want to give you a quick Pikes Peak update because it's kind of a small update, but for us here in the shop, it's a huge update, which is the Delta ABS system is in our Pikes Peak car and it's working. Jeremy from Core to Corsa did a phenomenal job on the wiring. We've actually been shaking the car down and the ABS is working and we have it again, which is phenomenal. The brakes are working really, really well, but we're having a funny issue with the pedal feel is a little bit more spongy than we want it to be. And we think that it's down to air being stuck in the ABS actuator. We're working through some techniques to get that sorted out. And once we figure it all out and get the brake pedal the way that it needs to be, we're going to come back into a deep dive on it and show you what the symptom was, what the solution was. Again, hopefully we can find it by then. But yeah, it's coming right along. We're getting close. And the biggest news here, again, is that the brakes just feel fantastic. And the stopping power is just a step well beyond what we were able to accomplish with the proportioning valve just because of all the changes and stuff that were going on there. This is moving us in the right direction. So as you're watching this, actually probably as you're watching this literally, we're going to be on the track again, testing the car, testing the brakes, testing the engine reliability. Everything seems to be working well so far, knock wood, or whatever this is. Things are still going well, and believe it or not, next week is our first testing days on the mountain of Pikes Peak again. So the May 30th, May 31st, we're on the mountain, shaking the car down. June 21st is the Pikes Peak hill climb. It's not that many weeks. I think we're, 4.5 weeks away at this point. So these are really kind of the final details for the race car. At this point, we really don't want to change anything else. It's just kind of refining, shaking down, improving, making sure the car is reliable. So that is the name of the game. So next week, we'll probably give you a little precursor for testing on the mountain and let you know how the track day went, let you know what, if anything, we found out. We're actually gonna be playing with the DCCD settings too, so see if we can figure anything out there as well. So just get out there, shake the car down, drive the car, get Scott comfortable in the car. That's what we're doing. So that is the latest. That is your SubaNews for this third week of May 2026. Thanks very much for your support as always, and until next time, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.